So look, I bought a house in 2017. Can somebody remind me what the benefit of buying a house was supposed to be? Like, you always hear, oh, get a house is a good investment. Can y'all remind me what it was? Because I'm really starting to feel like it's a
Welcome to Pegasus versus the World, where we take on challenges, comedy, trending topics, and some travel.
City boy! City boy!
All right, I want to hear this. This brother's on TikTok talking about his experience buying a house. And for you guys that don't know, I have not bought a house yet. I am not a homeowner. And I am finally at the position in life where I could become a homeowner. And I've been a little hesitant. I've been going back and forth on like, what should I do? You know what I'm saying? Because originally I was like, yo, buying a house is somewhat of a store of wealth. But me personally, I'd rather invest in a business, something that's creating money, not just sitting there. So that was my first premise of not really wanting to buy a house. I'd rather buy something that I could rent out and make money off of, invest in more into stocks, put money in places where it's going to actually grow and not just sit there. Now, I know you could take equity out, do this, that, and the other. Fine. But it just didn't look super enticing to me. Now that I have 2 kids and I'm like, I'm kind of like, man, I kind of want to get a house and something to pass down to them. But then you add, like, I pay a certain amount. I live in a really nice neighborhood, nice house, and I have a certain amount of rent, right? But if I buy a house in the current market, what I'm paying in rent, it doesn't double, but it amplifies highly if I buy a house, right? Then the one thing that's a shocker is insurance. Like, you seen what the insurance companies did to these people who were in the fires in California, who are in the fires in Hawaii, who are in the hurricanes in the South. There's fires in Colorado. I'm like, sometimes these tornadoes. I'm like, you invest all this money, your shit gets whipped away, and then what do you have? So, like, I've just been reconsidering it. Anyways, I want to see this brother's experience. This is on TikTok. I'd love for you guys to tap in the comments. Let me know what you think about buying a house in the year 2025. If you don't know who I am, I'm Black Pegasus. You could like, share, comment, subscribe. Link in the description of my other channel. Finally hit 500,000 subscribers on the music reaction channel, but let's talk about it.
Okay, so look, I bought a house in 2017. Can somebody remind me what the benefit of buying a house was supposed to be? Like, you always hear, oh, get a house is a good investment. Can y'all remind me what it was? Because I'm really starting to feel like it's a scam. Because first they was telling me, oh, well, if you rent, your rent could go up. My house going up. Every year, my house is more expensive than it was the previous year. My property taxes go up each year, and my homeowner's insurance go up each year. And now we're not calling it rent. It's not a rent increase. We're calling it something different, but it's still going up.
Okay, I didn't even know that. So I knew about property taxes. I didn't know they go up. And I'm sure it has something to do with what state you're in, because I heard California is trying to do something, or not California, hell no. California's trying to murk you. Florida is trying to do something cool with property tax, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is what I'm talking about. But he's in a home HOA. I will not buy a house that has a HOA, bro. I learned my lesson. So we used to rent. My wife used to babysit a couple of her friends' kids, and we got kicked out 2 times out of 2 houses. And not really kicked out, but we just had to essentially had to bounce because they said she was running a business from our house because, she's babysitting a couple of her friends' children. So I'm not rocking with HOAs. Those old mother effers can go to HE double hockey sticks. You know what it is. But so he said the HOAs do go up. Because when I lived in a condo, that would happen. Because my homie bought the condo and he'd always, bro, the HOA went up again. So that's funny because my rent goes up typically about $50 to $100 a year. But also I like to have the freedom to just get up and go. Like, I'm the type of person, like, if we have the bread, like, I wouldn't mind going to Japan and living there. Like, I don't know if you got to get a visa or something, but live there for 3 months and do this, do that. Like, that's the kind of life I want to lead. I am kind of nomadic in that sense. So anyways, this is interesting. I'm glad I'm watching this.
It is not cheaper to be a homeowner. Once you factor in the principal, the interest, the mortgage insurance premium that they add on there, your property tax, your maintenance should be breaking. You got to fix it. it is definitely way cheaper to rent. Hurricane come through, the fence is crooked, you gotta fix that. AC messing up, you gotta fix that. Fucking
The crazy thing is, he said a hurricane come through. What if the hurricane wrecks your house and insurance don't cover it? Because that's the biggest problem that I'm seeing in America, bro. Like you saw Ben Askren, he's this dope wrestler that was in the UFC. He got pneumonia. He needs one of the most expensive surgeries. He needs a double lung transplant, and his insurance denied him. That's insane. No, that's not funny. That's not funny. But long story short, you invest all this money. Oh, and I want to go to something he said because I've been looking at houses. So an okay, or you can get a good house in Colorado Springs for $450,000. But the type where I want to live in the neighborhood and is closer to 580 and 615. $615,000. When you look at that on paper with interest, you're paying, I think it's like 1.2 million over, like if it took you the 30, what is it, the 30-year rate or whatever? It just depends on what interest rate. There's variables there. But, you know, if you take the whole life of the house to pay it, you're paying, you know, like I forgot the estimation I did back in the day. It was over $1 million. Over $1 million. That's when I was like, ah. It was funny because back in the day, man, I did some interesting things in my life and career. I chose to chase music, which didn't generate money for me at that, and I chased women, right? So instead of having a solid, consistent job, stacking my money and buying a home when they were $190,000, $250,000, now here I am looking at homes and they're in the $400,000 to $600,000 range because I'm 45 years old. So if I would have bought a house in my 30s, you know, those houses were $200,000, $225,000, and now those same houses are valued in the 400 plus. So, you know, what he's saying is valid, but also like if you make the move and you're consistent, the other thing I look at, Colorado is trending like California, and the property values from what I've seen are pretty high in California. So even if I bought high now, in 10 years, there should be some value in the house, right? However, will that value and all that different stuff after you sell, after you get taxed, would that equal as much as me investing the type of money into that house into a business? Because the business, the one thing I've learned in real time is business. So in the market, like if you're in the stock market and other places, typically there's range of compounding interest from 6 to about 9, 10-ish%. Sometimes it goes to 13 and 15, but sometimes it can go down to 5. Like it just depends, right? What you're involved in. But there's compounding factors there. But in business, bro, like in business, I've had years where, so the most money I've made is in crypto and business, doing business. Like my business is bringing in, you know, more money than I had, let's say, anticipated. And then I'm like, oh, so I invested, let's say, $20,000 into this recording studio. And then over the span of, you know, 3 years, I paid for the whole recording studio and then profited this much, right? And that profit comes out to more than my money just sitting on the stock market or, you know, in the long term, flipping a house that you paid off or that you put a bunch of money into, etc. So I've always leaned into like, well, I'd rather invest my money into business or the market in that sense. But I don't know. I'm still learning. That's why I'm having this conversation here. I don't know. I'm on my way up. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to learn this stuff. I didn't have generational wealth. My father's not wealthy. My family, you know, I have an uncle who I think is, you know, doing well for himself, but I don't have anyone who's ultra rich or wealthy. So I'm like trying to figure things out as I go, but having these conversations and a well-rounded conversation. I personally think there's value into having a house. I think if you own a house and property, there's something to that. But the problem is with property tax, you never truly own it. If you pay everything off, I believe you still pay your property tax. And if something happens where you can't pay your property tax, it's no longer your property. So it's never really truly yours. And these things just, I don't know. I don't know. Almost goes against the concept of the American dream, in my opinion. But y'all let me know, man.
and toilets be breaking. Remember Lil Wayne, 10 bathrooms, I could shit all day. I thought that was a flex. I got 4 of them bitches. I couldn't. 10? Hell no. Next they tell you, oh, well, at least you got equity in your house. The equity ain't doing nothing for me. All equity mean is I could take out a loan. I don't want to take any more loans out. I'm trying to get out of debt, not in more debt. Equity's not doing anything for me. The only thing you can do is sell your house. I'm not interested in selling. I need a place to live. That's the only benefit. The only benefit you can realize from a house is when you rent that bitch out or sell that bitch. Otherwise, you just in there. It's just a place to live. Equity ain't doing nothing for me. Oh, it's something for your kids. And fuck them kids. I thought I was going to get some benefits from this. Where?
Yo, that is actually, I don't know if he's joking what, but let's highlight that. That's actually one of the most important things, that you have something to leave your family. Yo, my dad bought his house in Colorado, and he still lives there. My mother has passed away, and as he's getting older, has some health issues. We had the conversation, and he was like, "Yo, I'm leaving this for you and your brother." Long story short, it's just the house we grew up in. I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to keep it and probably remodel the inside and rent it out. And then if that doesn't work, I believe it's paid off. So like I'll pay the property tax or whatever needs to be paid to hold on to it. But I'm not getting rid of that thing. Like I'm not. It's not happening. And I think that is a memento. Like, I don't know, like when you're doing stuff, you shouldn't be emotionally attached to like business endeavors. But I'm not going to lie. Like that was the house my mother passed away in, right? Because she was on hospice and stuff. And it means something to me. So with that, I want to keep that house in the family, and I know that's going to get passed down to me, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and I would like to do that for my kids. However, because of all the different things I explained to you, if we get a house and buy a house, I would like to pass it down to my kids. But regardless, I already have a trust set up, and the endeavors, my business endeavors, money, etc., will be passed down to them, no matter what. So. I guess it just depends, but I do think that's something to highlight and just be like, look, passing down land and a home to your children is super dope, and it's super important, especially in America.
What are the benefits that I can take advantage of? So yeah, when you finally decide to sell it, you could probably get some money, but if you had a 30-year mortgage, by the time you've been paying on it for 30 years and paying property tax on a $350,000 house, you done probably paid $780,000, $800,000. So let's say you sell that bitch for $700,000. Are you really making money? Or are they just giving you back a little bit of what you already paid?
This is what I'm saying. That's exactly what I told y'all. He did the model off of a $350,000 house. So he must be in a cool market, like in the South, or what does this shirt say? So where the houses are less expensive, because you ain't getting shit like that, especially in Colorado Springs or Denver. Something solid, like I said, is $450 and up. What I was talking about was $600. So when I'm saying like, yo, over the 30 years, it's over $1 million you spent. I mean, he kind of just validated that,
because I could have rented for half the cost and then pocketed the rest of the money, saved it, invested it, whatever, and come out with the same amount of money. So this is a hill I am willing to die on. Buying a house is only a good investment if you renting it out or you flipping houses. Like if you don't plan to live there. If you planning to live there, it's just a house. It's just a place to stay. Nothing else.
Damn. That's actually kind of wild. That's kind of wild. I'm on this. One of my buddies was trying to talk me into buying a house, just in general. He thinks it's a good investment, this, that, and the other. But I noticed a lot of people who've gotten houses where I'm from, were in the military, had access to like VA loans and stuff like that. And, I'm just a regular guy who just freelances and makes money, I got my concert business, I got my YouTube business, and I have a few other things that I dabble in. But it's interesting trying to put together these concepts. I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna be fine. It's not, I'm not stressing it. Like, I'm not gonna rush into buying a house. I'll never rush into buying something that I know over time is gonna cost me over $1 million. It's just not happening. You know, I'm going to take my time. We're going to see how markets are, you know, interest rates, different stuff like that. But again, I'm not a fan of this HO. Like, if anything, you know, there's a possibility of just buying some land and then taking my time and building something as, you know, I get there. Because I personally, where I'm at right now, I really do want to focus on business and business growth and trying to compound, you know, things that I earn. So I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think? Do you think buying a house is a scam? Be honest. A lot of you guys are older that follow me or my age, and you bought a house. So I would love to hear your honest critique of this and feedback, because I don't know. I'm not here saying it is a scam. I'm not saying it's not. I personally want to buy a house. I want to own something. Be like, yo, this is my house. This is my family. Da da da. That seems, but that's my emotion saying that. And that's why I haven't dove into it, because I'm actively looking at what is the best thing for my life. So, yeah, this puts some things in perspective. I need to put this in front of my homie, because the homie who told me to buy a house is a financial guy. And I'm like, yo, man, look at this, man. Come on, man. Give me some pushback on some of this, you know, because he makes a very valid point. Once you pay it off, you put $800,000 into the house, you know, and then you try to sell it outright. And it's like, oh, but it's really, you had already spent all that money. It's like, anyway, y'all let me know, man. Holla.
City boy, city boy.